A major Void champion rebalance. Maybe my Visix will finally be useful for something. We're gonna look at all the changes that are upcoming in patch 4.20 in today's video. Update 4.20 highlights. It looks like we're getting not only the new dungeon stages, this major rebalance of the Void champions, but also a couple AI fixes, and also, yet again, more champions because we never have enough of those. So the new dungeon stages are basically what we talked about. The enemy max HP skills will be limited to 10% HP. I'm pretty sure that this is going to be in line with the difficulty of the new Doom Tower bosses. So you're going to need like that 250 speed, that 350 accuracy or resistance if you want to be able to survive those new dungeons. But now let's go over the rework of these champions. So number one here we have Visix the Unbowed. Her A1 is being slightly changed. We're going to get a 15% turn meter reduction instead of only 10%. I suppose that's good. Then for the A2 here we have skill redesigned, no longer places a shield buff on herself and will instead place a 50% ally protection. So if I understand correctly, then this is not going to put the shield, it is going to put the ally protection, which was instead on the A3. So AoE, decreased speed, and ally protection on our own team. And then for the A3 also being redesigned to be an AoE and attack, not just a place. Up from 1, place a provoke debuff for 1 turn. Then you place a shield buff on this champion equal to 20% of her max HP. So this is still only an AoE hit provoke like Umbral for 1 turn only. And will that be enough to put her on the map? I don't know. You guys can be the judge of that. Let's keep going. With Wurlim Frostking, which is getting a buff to the A1, increasing the amount of turns that this will be applied, so that's already really nice. But here, the A2 effects added places a 50% decreased accuracy debuff alongside of the 30% decreased crit damage, and these debuffs cannot be resisted. I think that is going to be absolutely amazing. You're also getting the increased crit damage buff on your own players, and then we also get the cooldown reduction here on the Ice Grave armor to 5 turns, and they're changing the aura to be a 40% defense in Doom Tower battles. So this is going to be nice. I think that Wurlim Frostking will be used a lot more. Then we've got Soulless here, which I'm a little bit confused to the buffs here. They're increasing the base speed. Great. It will certainly make it a little bit easier to use as this champion. Then you're increasing the defense, reducing the attack on a defense-based champion, which is completely pointless. So technically you would think he's going to hit harder, but then no, because you're reducing the multipliers on his Wave of Despair and Reign of Terror skills, which is the A2 and A1. So this guy hits really, really hard. This skill right here hits insanely hard, but aside from giving him more speed, they should have made this into an AoE strip number 1, not just 3 times random, and I think he would have been a little bit more useful because of that. Then we have Exemplar here, which is getting an added effect to the A1. It will increase the cooldown of the skills by 2 turns at random. If there's already a weakened debuff, it will be a specific skill at random to maximum cooldown. This is random. Nobody likes to work with random stuff anyway. You also get a debuff increased chance to 75% for the weaken on the A2, which is basically going to be a 100% chance of placing the weaken debuff. It's random again. And then we have for this skill right here, they're just reducing the cooldown to 4 turns. I still don't think we're going to see a whole lot of Exemplar. Then we have Rowan, which is getting a nice little buff to her Blade Surge skill. Basically, you'll be able to add those poisons guaranteed each hit. So that's going to be 4 poisons, 5% once fully booked to 100% chance. But the rest of her kit is still okay-ish. I'm not convinced this champion will now be a must-have for the clan boss. Towering Titan is getting a nice little rework. We're going to be scaling off of HP now for damage for the A2. On top of that, you're going to get a guaranteed provoke on the first hit, and then each subsequent hit is going to be a 50% chance, booked to 60% chance of placing a provoke. And then for the A3 here, we're going to be getting all of this and an extra turn, which means that this guy can open up with this, I would assume, and then go into this right here. Might actually be quite useful for the arena or perhaps Doom Tower. Suwai Forstborn is another one that's getting a nice rework. Her A2 is going to be changed to a guaranteed AoE and 75% chance. You can fully book this to 100% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack. It's on cooldown by 4 turns, but you can book this to a 3-turn cooldown. So yes, it is going to be good for the clan boss. Same thing with the A3 here. You can reduce the cooldown furthermore. The only issue is that her A1 is the decreased defense. That's still only a 50% chance of working. You'd obviously not get the increased attack or crit damage because you're not going to kill a mob. But having the decreased attack on the A2 now on a 3-turn cooldown, and also the weaken on the A3 on a 3-turn cooldown, will make her pretty good for the clan boss. Broadmaw is also getting a rework. Interesting. We're going to get a debuff increased chance on the A1. That's basically a free, so it's going to go up to 35%. Then you'll be able to book this to 45%. It's alright-ish. The A2 is getting a 15% turn meter increase on top of these 2 buffs, so that's certainly useful for a little something. And then they're reducing the cooldown of the A3 by, I believe, what is it, like 2 turns or 1 turn? They're reducing it by 1 turn. All right, and then they're changing the aura to be for faction crypts instead of the arena. Then we have Baerdall Fellhammer, kind of like a Fire Knight expert here. What we're getting from this guy is a higher chance of placing the heal reduction on the A1, so I believe this will go up to about 60% if you fully book this guy. And then for his A2, on top of what you see here, if there's already a heal reduction debuff on the enemy, you're also going to get an increased defense buff on himself. He's also getting slightly more defense and less HP. Whisper is another one that's getting a little rework, but I'm not convinced it's anything extremely major. You get an extra 30% increased crit rate on the A1, so a self buff here. And then for the A3, they're reducing by 1 turn of the cooldown. She's all about taking extra turns and sort of like ignoring defense. She is or was used against a clan boss for a while. Maybe now you guys can benefit from this a little bit. Then we have a couple of AI improvements to improve their behavior on auto battles. We got Sifu the Lost Bride, Tyrant Elixir, but here we have Shatterbones. I'm going to spend a second on him here, which will prioritize his A2 in the Fire Knight castle. Why not just either all the time or in the arena as well? The only reason I don't use this guy, even though I do have him and he's built on my account, is because I would love for him to always, let's say, do this here first in the arena battles. So I think that AI fix is not enough in my opinion, but maybe there's something we'll be able to do once we get the ability to control the skills ourselves. Then we have Style the Drakes, which will prioritize her wing beat flurry when there are 2 or more enemies alive. That is good as well. War Mother, Mother's Touch, yada yada. Mountain King will always prioritize targets with block damage buff when using his Regal Force skill. Warlord will not use Orcish rituals during the clan boss battles. Robar, Tayrel will prioritize Humble skill when fighting the Fire Knight. Okay. Tayrel will no longer use his preemptive strike skill in clan boss battles. I guess that's really good. So Tayrel is getting a nice little fix. They're fixing Eleanor, they're fixing Xavier, or I'm not sure this is going to be a fix for Xavier here, is no longer going to use her Deadly Catalyst skill if the target has no poison debuffs. So I think a lot of players were using Xavier as a nuker for the arena and the ability to block the revive. So now if she's not going to open up with this, it means on auto she would open up with Poison Rain. That might actually be an issue. And finally we have Maneater also getting a little rework for the spiders then. So there you have it, the latest updates that we can expect in patch 4.2. I really want to know in the comments below, which one are you more excited about? Personally, I don't see this as being a major overhaul for these champions. I thought it was going to be a lot better. Which one is your favorite? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.